systems are offline.
Hello, Facebook world. How is everybody? Hope you're doing well. It's Friday night, and we're at a new time here for our podcast. We are being joined by the one and only Matthew Brownie. He's a Kiwi who made it all the way to West Cork. We're going to have to ask him how he managed to make it all the way here, but he's the guy behind these. If you've seen them, Scratch My Pork Scratchins. You've probably seen them in the pub. We're going to get into him, how we've made them, how he's come about it, how his business is doing. We've got loads of questions. We're going to be talking all things cooking. He also has his own YouTube channel, a cooking channel. Now, I must take some lessons in it because, like I've said to 2,000 people before, my cooking skills are stupid. I would burn water. Honestly, I tell you, I could probably burn ice if it was given to me. So I'm going to get loads of tips. We're going to find out where his YouTube station is, the name of it, and all things nice. So hopefully, if we can get in contact with him there now, let's welcome him. So hang on. Let's see if we can press this button and bring everybody into it. Matthew, how are you, buddy? How's life? How's things?
Terence, how are you? Thanks for inviting me on. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Not a bother, my friend. Not a bother at all. Hope all is well with you.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Just, busy as usual, but delighted it's the weekend.
It's the weekend. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, huh?
Yeah, mate. Thank God. Thank goodness.
Right, we're going to have to get into it. We have to understand. Now, my little experience with chefs, they're a different type of person, to be perfectly honest with you. You're a rare breed, ye chefs, to be perfectly honest. I don't know how you do it, genuinely. When the fan and the shit is hitting at the same time, you're managing to get out orders and stuff like that. You're a rare breed of people. How did you get stuck into cooking of all industries?
Yeah, okay. Good. You're taking me back about 30 years, but obviously, like you've said, I'm from New Zealand originally, and I suppose from school, I was more interested in engineering and woodwork and that kind of stuff. So I kind of left school. I was a MIG and gas welder for about kind of at school because I had a good attendance record. I didn't really want to go to university at that particular time, and I did MIG and gas welding. But I went on I don't know if you've ever heard of Outward Bound. It's a Trivial Pursuit kind of thing. It's all around the world. There's about 270 of them, but New Zealand would have the best outdoor kind of thing. It's a 21-day kind of course, and it's not a course like you're in the middle of a cutter in the South Island of in between North and South Island of New Zealand. You're doing orienteering. You're doing runs every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's a really reflection on what you want to do. And of course, these people come, there's all people ages from about, I think it was 18 to 25 that are put into a watch. And I always distinctly remember the change of where life could be a little bit more interesting than living in my hometown, Wanganui, which is now Whanganui, before any Maori people tell me I pronounced that wrong. And we had a shepherd on there. We had someone that had been convicted for holding up a petrol station. There was a private investigator. They had a lot to talk about.
I'm sure they had plenty of tales.
Yeah, and there was me, with a MIG and gas welder. And then basically after that, a year later, I decided to become a chef. There was no real cooking kind of background in our family, apart from my mum, all mums are great cooks anyway, you know yourself. And off I went to Hawke's Bay, which to me was one of the better, which was a wine region in New Zealand. And I did my year course and washed dishes for free Friday and Saturday nights, and they gave me for free and gave me a crappy bottle of claret. At the end of it, I used to go back to the hostel and get drunk on a Saturday night. But at the same time, I was studying in a famous place called the Mission Vineyard, where I stayed, and then I ended up cooking the meals for the second half of the year. So the course was very good, and obviously Hawke's Bay is a beautiful area with food and wine. So to me, it was the best place to kind of do it. So that's how I really got into it. And by the way, my marks did not probably show what I am today. But yet again, it takes a lot of work. I think you'd agree, certification is one thing, but actually going out into the real world to do it is another,
Yeah, I have like, you can't judge a person on their schooling record, I think, because there's some people built for school and then there's some people that are not built for school, and like some people cherish and learning knowledge and stuff like that. Like my teachers turned around and said to me, "You'll never get nowhere talking for the rest of your life." But hey, look at me now. So we'll have to just wait and see how this comes out. But like life turns different choices. I didn't personally like school. I was never very good at school. I turned it around and tried to do the best I could with what I had in school, and came out of it and sort of branched on and kept going from different things all the time, But like I said, especially with the way schooling year finished out this year, and I say to all the young people that be around the place, just because you didn't get your Leaving Cert results or whatever comes out from your Leaving Cert this year being different than anything before, there's always a way of getting around to doing what you want to do. You just got to work hard at it.
I totally agree. I think the New Zealand regime back, 20 or 30 years ago now, is a lot different to probably what Mark's, and especially kind of looking at the Irish Leaving Cert. I think it is a big thing over here, and I think it's a good thing that they do actually compete about that. This is a 46-year-old brain now talking to an 18-year-old brain in New Zealand. I suppose it's easy to say that. But I definitely think not everything is lost by just schooling, because you certainly branch out into different things. And some of the great chefs, some of the great entrepreneurs haven't been schooled. They're just very focused on what they wanted and turned their back on. Not turn their back, but turn their real focus on what they really wanted to do. I don't recommend that for everyone, but everyone's their own kind of man, woman. You can do what you want. You can achieve what you want.
That's it, man. Like, you looking back in your school days, would you think you've gotten to where you are now? And like your journey started from, as you said, just washing dishes, and now you're a chef.
Yeah, that's a hard question, because who I am today is probably, with confidence and a lot of different things, are probably a lot different than it was back then. I think you still have the child in everyone, but it's very hard to determine that. But I do believe if you stick at something, you get better and better and better at it. And of course, with chefing is changing all the time. The industry's changed all over the world, in my opinion, especially in Ireland. The last 22 years I've lived in it. So you have to. I think you have to adapt. You have to adapt very, very. You have to be willing to adapt, innovate. But if you don't adapt and just sit in your home, and you're allowed to do that, there's nothing wrong with. There's absolutely nothing wrong with staying in the same pub for 20 years and cooking. That was one thing in my early career, and it wasn't until I was at a seminar with a guy, I can't remember his name, but he used to run a place in Taupo called Hooker Lodge, and I was invited to this thing, and he said, if you want to work in a pub and make the same lasagna, that's okay, do it, don't knock it. But if you want to innovate and you want to move forward, you've got to move around. And that's where it just seemed to me that all I wanted to do is run my own restaurant and become the best head chef. But it actually can be a recipe for disaster, excuse the pun,
Yeah, but like you have to turn around, and this is the best thing I love about this podcast is finding out people's stories, how they started out and stuff like that. But you don't know unless you try. And that's what the thing about it is. Some people always say, oh, well, like, I'd hate to be in my life to turn around when I'm hopefully make it to 80 or 90 years of age and look back and going, do you know what? I wish I had done that, or I wish I had took the risk. No, it takes a lot to take the risk. But I still think that if you believe in yourself, that you will do it. Like there's the old story there. I don't know whether you've seen that. There's one that floats around there. I think, it'll come to me in 2 seconds. They say the man standing on top of the cliff, if he jumps off, his wings might open. But if he never jumps off, his wings will never open.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? You gotta kind of have.
I wouldn't recommend that in real life.
Well, no, obviously, but metaphorically, metaphorically speaking, you have to give yourself all the best chances of exceeding what you can do. And like you said, innovate and keep going, thinking on your feet, and being quick at it. You don't get to be that by just staying in the same place all the time. If that's what you want, do you know what I mean? Some people do like it, some people don't like it, but you need to decide on what type of person you are, whether you're the proverbial wolf or the sheep.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I suppose I've learned this as I go along, but definitely had advisors, and advisors of chefs when I was young. Even my first lecturer at Hawke's Bay, he was very good. He goes, in the first 4 years, you want to learn how to cook. And I said, but I don't, because you don't know. You know how to use a knife, and you want to go to very good places. And that's what I did. I went to very, very good places in the first 4 years of my cooking before I left New Zealand. And I got the base. And then all of a sudden, very quickly, I stepped into a second chef position, but not a second chef position where I was in a Michelin star restaurant. It was a cafe doing 300 people with another person, and you had to adapt very, very quickly. And I was energetic. I wanted this, and I wanted to move up the ladder very quickly. But the other thing as well, in my first 10, 11, 12 years, I only stayed in a place for a year. And people, when I went for interviews, people were always conscious of that. And my thing, and what I was told, is if I stay in one place for 10 years, what do I learn? So I was learning every place I went. So not only was I came through the restaurant thing, then I went to a hotels. Then I went to a catering, a hospital. Then I went, and then I would do Leopardstown Racecourse up in Dublin in times as well. So there was, as perk jobs and that. So learning the career wasn't staying in one place. Is so many ways. These days I'm 46. I don't do those hours anymore. And the hours have been they're great, but when you've got family, it doesn't happen. Anyway, I'll get back to that one. But it's very important when you're a young chef. You do not stay in one place for 4 years. In my opinion, you go to the best places and learn something else. They don't always work out, but when you're young, you don't know any different anyway. So no matter if there's bad practices within the restaurant industry, within an establishment, should I say, or good practice, but usually if you've got a team of lecturers or chefs, you know where the good places in Cork or Dublin are. And back in New Zealand, there was no such thing as a Michelin star restaurant, right? And if you want to be a Michelin star or you want to work in a Michelin star, that's absolutely fine. But it's not worth starting a Michelin star restaurant when you're 35 and you've done 15 years of hotels and restaurants. There comes a time where, you're not going to be there's a common time where you're not going to be chef de partie or commis either. So it's a progression everywhere you go. And for me, I suppose my innovation came from stealing everyone's recipes, and I've always been quite happy to say that on the feed. But I changed. Well, some of them are outstanding, and I still have them. There's a book there. I have 4 books that I did in my first. They're 26, 27 years old. That I when I was about 19, 20, and they're only half full, but the recipes are priceless for me because they were something special. It had to be special now. It couldn't just be, let's make a hollandaise sauce. But then there's a special hollandaise sauce I have as well. And, it had to be better than the rest. It had to be better, or I had to create something better based on a recipe that someone gave me. Because if it's just the same, if it's just didn't give something better or improve on what was in the past, I don't, there was nothing in it for me. And if I didn't like it, I wouldn't, possibly the customer. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was just the way I looked at food. I'm not saying it was the right or wrong way, or whatever either. But I mean, through the career of chefing, cooking's one thing. It's about organisation as well, and planning. And these days you're the employer, you're the head chef of a hotel, you're the employer, you're the accountant, you're the guy that does the ordering, you're the guy that does the costings, you're the guy that does everything. And if one thing goes wrong, it's your fault, and you aren't, and you answer to that. I think the joy for me, cooking in the home is more for me these days, Terence. To be honest, I've really been into that for a long time of family and bringing family to the table and making something nice. If it's a barbecue or a salad or something simple, it doesn't matter.
There's nothing like making something nice. No, I can't even speak because I don't ever make anything nice. But there's nothing nice than having your family around the table and eating a nice meal. There really isn't. It is the sort of center of the family heart, heart universe, I suppose is the word I'm looking for, that you can sit down, have a meal, and you can just talk to everybody around the table. There's a lot to be said for sitting at the dinner table.
But there's also a generation where your mum cooked for you and you're cooking for your kids. There's childhood memories there that are huge. Something I haven't done and my mum always cooked was Wiener Schnitzel, but I've never done it. And we used to
What's that?
It's actually veal. It's veal cut
veal.
And crumbed and pan fried with a little bit more oil in it, and it's absolutely fantastic. But I've never done it, and I've got this in my mind that I have to do this again. I have to do this. So it's in my mind. I'll get there, but that's what I'm saying. And my daughter comes and with me, and we cook together, and it's good to know that because and it's shown basically very, very, very in the last 3 or 4 months with the climate that we're in that the new gold was flour and yeast. So
you
still can't get it really. So I really think that is good. But to go back to the chefing, I think I've had some very influential people, from a guy in New Zealand called Kerry Mackay, who back in the day with 2 others owned a place called Mondo Cucino down in Blair Street in Wellington. For the people who don't know where Wellington is, that's the capital of New Zealand. So that was but I didn't know that at the time, and I started off on the pizza bar there. And but what I didn't know is that the pizza bar wasn't just getting salamis already sliced and everything. Everything was cut. And what it actually did is brought my knife skills up within about 3 months to an absolute. I just couldn't. And then I was boning out legs of lamb. Then all of a sudden in the place I was doing the prep shift. They would let me do the sauces, but they would leave the sauces to me before they came in. But I would do this on top of. I would do this on top of getting paid during my night shift, but I'd come in the day and do this for free. Then they started to pay me because everything was, exactly how they wanted it. So there's a lot of progression and the enthusiasm of wanting to do this. And there was 2 other guys in there, 2 Scottish lads called Paul Tweed and Kenny Byrne, and they were influential. It just seemed I went in there at the right time, got the position, and what I learned in that small space of a time of about a year and a half was fantastic. So, and they've been very, very successful people as well in their own right. I can't really remember where they are now, but they've definitely had names in Australia where they've gone over. And Kiri's got his own little food truck now, and it's quite amazing. And so the recipes in the book, I've still got a Caesar dressing recipe, from 26 years ago, which I will actually share on my YouTube channel sooner or later. But the point of the matter of that is that it was done properly. It wasn't just out of a jar, and we can all do this at home. And that's what I'm transporting into the home at the moment, where I really think, and it doesn't, and yet again, I'm a thief and maybe a bit of a cheat. Some of these recipes are so easy that it's ridiculous, but they're really, really tasty. And it's about using good ingredients to start with, and we're lucky in West Cork, yourself, Terence, we've got such an amazing producers down here, and you can go thinking of 30 years ago. I yet again I can only base this on New Zealand or whatever, but going into a supermarket, there's a good chance you've probably got not a very nice steak, and then next week you got a good one. You go into a supermarket now, 99.999% you have a good steak. There's no in between.
Production is so much huge now. Yeah. they're hitting it bang on all the time.
It doesn't matter, and you don't mind paying that extra or the premium product because you're going you're going home. And in recent times as well, and I think this will be the knock-on effect as well as the country reopens and all that, is that we may not, unfortunately, be going as which is sad, by the way, because it's the career I grew up in and gave me everything. Going back to a restaurant as much, and time will tell. Time will tell. I don't want to use the virus word, you see. I don't, it's in our face all the time. I don't want to because we've got to move forward. And
we've got a couple of questions coming in on Facebook too, so we'll get at these because we can move on then because we've got a couple of questions that people are asking as you're talking. So we've got Emer Duffy. She's coming in saying, hello, Matthew. We also have Kieran Castlery. Apologies, Kieran, if I'm saying that wrong. He says, hi, Matt. Do you think your 7 or 8 years in LCC in Dublin helped you mold you into the character you are today?
Jesus, they're all coming out of there. All the people are coming out of the woodworks.
This is what I love about this. When you see people, there's certain ones that hang people out to dry.
Well, there we go. Kieran's just opened me up into a passion, another passion that most cricketers in Ireland keep to themselves. Because it's not something you mention at the pub because you either get your head punched in, and you definitely don't mention it to a girl because they just walk away from you. So I'll be quite honest with you. Help me to mould. What I got out of LCC, and Kieran would know this, that I got a very, very good tight friendship with the club up in Leinster, up in Rathmines, and Kieran's one of them. And unfortunately, I moved down to Skibbereen. I miss them. We catch up when we can. But how they moulded me, I had a great time in Dublin for 10 years, and so did my future wife and wife-to-be. And, we lived in a very good, but I wouldn't say as a character, I think my character was already in there. I just mentioned all these. I just met all these kind of, shall we say, characters, and we all just seemed to gel together at the same time. So, I suppose Kieran's probably got a good few stories, but I've probably got a good few stories on him as well. But we are live. I think we'll keep this for another day.
We won't go into that. We keep it all under 12s. We keep it a family show.
Exactly. A lot of drinking stories, I think, back in those days. So
We've got Patrick Ahern coming in as well. He's saying scratch my pork is some tasty stuff. So we're going to get into that, Patrick. We'll get into that now in just a few more minutes.
Yeah.
We've got Neil asking you the best roast dinner you've ever cooked. What's your best roast dinner? Do you like cooking turkeys, chickens, beef? What's your favorite roast meat to do?
Pork.
Pork.
Roast, should we say leg or I won't say loin, as pork belly. And what I love to do is I love to score it and rub garlic, rosemary and thyme with an Irish rapeseed oil on it. Throw the, now this is, you can get the pork belly off the bone as well, I recommend, and you turn your barbecue up very, very high, seal it, do it the other way, seal it, close the lid down, and then have a few beers for 45 minutes and it's cooked, cut the thing and throw it in a baguette, and all the juice you kind of cut, and the juice acts as the butter, and throw a few fried onions and mushrooms, and you've got a great thing. I love that. Was one thing. It's another thing, a childhood memory. Pork, we always had that at that was New Zealand kind of our thing, having pork at Christmas time. It wasn't turkey and ham and all that, and it was because my mum always liked it, so we loved it. And of course she'd have her back turned and we were into the crackle, hence.
We'll get into that as well. We're going to have to get into that story. Patrick as well, he's asking, is there any new flavours on the way? We're going to get to that, Patrick. I promise. We're going to get to Scratch My Pork and all things about that as well. I promise you, because he sent me over a packet of them, and it was the last packet I could actually hide from people because they just went through them. Absolutely through them. And it was only like 5 minutes ago before I went live. I went down to my partner. I says, please tell me there's still a packet left. And she says, yeah, she put one away from me because we had a couple of guests over the last couple of nights and they've been eating them all. And I was always counting them kind of in my head. I said, I know there was like 10 packets there. But then I was like going, I think I'm on like the 11th or 12th packet now at this stage. And I was going, oh shit, there better be one there still for Friday night. And I was going, Jesus, I better hope there is. So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into all the flavors. We're gonna get into that. Another question: as being a chef, why do you think there's such a shortage of chefs in Ireland right now?
Okay, yeah. It's I would be connected with CIT in some force with one or two of the lecturers still, and yet again, when I get into the company side of things, I'll explain a little more. But what's happening there is a lot of the younger generation also, they're going into IT, they're always looking at their phones, they want to be YouTubers and all this kind of stuff. I think that's one effect. The last 5 years has been where are all the chefs, where are all the chefs, where are all the chefs. We'll just take Ireland, for example. The industry, it's going to be hard to explain this, but I said to someone 26 years ago when I walked into the industry isn't what today, but 5 years ago, it's not the same industry it was either. Okay, so you're looking, in my opinion, and this is an opinion, and there might be some chefs that might get upset with this. I believe the industry was going down a slow, slippery slope to a point. Okay, I'm not saying to it all. Chefs, service, people, the wrong people are running certain establishments. They get into it, and chefs, and the other things, because chefs were, they knew they could get a job the next day. There was no loyalty, but the loyalty was right across the board for me. And I just think the younger pair, if you look at CIT, their courses in the last, now I haven't got that. I know a couple of years ago I was speaking to the head, and for one of the first times a couple of years ago, they didn't have a full attendance or register for the level 5 and 6. So the people knocking off, and one reason is anti-sociable hours. Number two is bloody hard work, Terence. It takes. Someone asked me, "Do you think it takes a certain kind of person?" And it's that's yet again a very hard question to ask. But what I do believe is, if someone's passionate about the industry and can do it, it is a great career. But I don't think it's a great career to be cooking from the age of 18 or 15, 16 till 68, because
it'll burn you out. It'll really burn you out.
Like, I'm 46, my body can't do those 16-hour days anymore, and it's happened to me in recent enough times, and it was a time to me to cut right back, and I can afford to do that. And even though I miss the industry, but think about your kids are at home, they're 6 and 7, and you're getting up at 6 o'clock and 7 and don't leave till 10 or 11 at night, and then you're 2 days off at 40, whatever age you're, 45, and that. There you are trying to put on a smiley face for your kids and your wife. It wasn't working anymore for me, So there's definitely, but the career. The thing with the career, for me, the travel and the learning and getting the experience, and also the great friends for life out of this has been extremely. And of course, it's got me. I built my house. I've got a great family. I can't knock that. I thank the industry, but that is a very hard question, Terence. I'm probably wobbling on there.
But do you think that the so-called celebrity chef status has hurt the industry to a certain degree? Because people don't understand the graft that has to, like, I can look, I'll turn around and give you a simple example of this. I've been a DJ since I was 17, 18. It's been kind of my trade, to be perfectly honest with you. And like, they've made the industry so easy to get into, that you have the so-called bedroom DJ, the DJ that comes out and just press play and thinks that he's going to sell out O2 in 2 years' time. He thinks it's going to be the next big thing, and he's given his hands all this. And I think that they've made it so easy to think that it's going to be so easy for them to do it, if you know what I mean. Like, you can see there the celebrity chef status. You've got like Gordon Ramsay, and like they can, like, what's the guy's name? The Naked Chef.
Jamie Oliver.
Jamie Oliver. Like, his 30-minute meals, they take me 4 hours. You know what I mean? And I'd probably end up so annoyed with it that I'm turning around going, well, hang on a second, Jamie, how can you do this in 15 minutes or 10-minute meals? And I'm there 3 hours later pausing the Sky Digital to make sure that the temperature is correct on the soup that he's making. You know what I mean? I think that they've, I wouldn't say dumbed it down. Well, do you know what? Kind of dumbed down just saying the DJ industry, but you can see certain comparisons to the chef industry as well. That like you started from washing dishes, I started from being a roadie, wrapping wires and learning how mics work and fixing mics and that. Nowadays, a DJ or a young fellow or a young woman getting into this industry can go from, they can buy software for 50 quid. I spent nearly €1,000 on my software, and they can go out and they can buy a set of speakers for 200 quid and they can do a gig for €50. Whereas personally, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but are they as good as you? Not a hope.
Who knows? No one's as good as me. I'll always have to say that. No one's as good as me.
That's right. And that's been proven in the industry. And because they can't find chefs, someone comes out of college, they do a year, and they're a head chef at 23, getting 40 grand. Doesn't work, mate. It doesn't happen like that. And the same thing will happen to you. Like, it's like economy of scale. Something's going to give sooner or later. You know, and that's right, and that's what I'm saying with the it was on a slippery slope, the industry, because of the, like, you have to do it time. And don't get me wrong, sometimes there's amazing young chefs, this, that, and the next, but they still need to do. It's not just about doing time. They don't understand. It's not just about how to cook a steak. That's what my first 4 years were, learning how to cook. That's what I was told. Organising a kitchen, knowing how to employ the right person. You know, if someone. You know, I've been in a kitchen in Australia, would you believe, where there was a fight in there. You know, I had to go in the middle of that and make sure service carried on, you know, physically, like that. And, you know, just being a chef, you have to manage yourself, you have to manage a team. And that's where a 21-year-old who, you know, or 22-year-old that possibly is running a hotel or something, and maybe it's because the establishment can't find anyone. You know, it's on a recipe for disaster, and that's what I was kind of saying. And don't get me wrong, I think the industry is going to be streamlined very, very shortly. I think takeaway is going to be a big thing, and it's already shown that, I think, anyway. But I think it's going to be, very streamlined. And don't get me wrong, there'll be some chefs going, "Oh, geez, what is this guy talking about?" There's some amazing chefs in Ireland. There's some amazing chefs in West Cork. They just haven't got names, Terence. They haven't got the big names in Ireland or this, and they're amazing chefs, and they're working away around West Cork and Dublin or whatever, and they have a small little restaurant, and they're very happy getting their little salary every week, and that's what they like. And I take my hats off to them, and they're very, very successful. But I don't to go back to the question, I just think, you know, and that's where I met my wife would always say, actually, there's easier ways to make money, but you know, the industry for me, I might not have what I have today, you know, and what I've built today without that, because even the company that we'll go into shortly is a shall we say, an off branch of what chefing gave me, you know. I can't you can't knock. All I'm just saying, I'm seeing the industry as a whole, and I just see things, and I see things like, you know, if I'm going down to a restaurant or a hotel and I get a crap meal for my can, it costs me 80 quid or 100 quid or whatever, I'm not going back. I'm really annoyed, and I wish I just brought 2 steaks and we had it at home, or got some great fish and chips up there. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. You don't know. You don't know as well, and you don't know who the chef is. But down in West Cork at Skibbereen, you know, there's some great little chefs there, and you know, you're going to get a great service and great, you know, with the restaurants that we pick or we decide to go to, and you'll know that in Bantry as well, you know.
Yeah, you know, I will say something about my limited experience in the kitchen. It is kind of, there's a certain buzz about getting service when you're really deep in service, like then you're done with it. It's kind of like, wow, how did we manage to get through that? You know what I mean? It's like an adrenaline rush that you can do, and you can get it through. So, like, even when like, it is literally when your back up is against the wall and you manage to pull out a service that you don't think you're going to do, or like you're just always thinking on your feet all the time. It is mentally very wearing. It is very, very wearing. And like, I take my hats off to any of the chefs out there. Like I said, I burn ice and water. My chef skills are very, very poor. I don't even like making meals because I end up eating the ingredients before I even cook them. If I didn't have to eat to survive, I probably wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? But I just can't cook. I just know this is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know what? The worst thing about it was at the start of this COVID thing, I said to myself, if I'm going to get a little bit of time, I'll try and learn a few recipes and do a few things like that. And no, I went away doing this instead. And thank God for takeaways. I can say I'm only hoping the takeaways get better and better and better because it saved me having to cook full stop.
Yeah. No, well, I'll say if you're going to eat 2 bits of the main ingredients, I think you're going to have trouble trying to get a recipe.
Right, we have to get into it. How did you manage to make it all the way to Skibbereen? Normally, the people go the opposite way. They go Skibbereen to New Zealand or Ireland to New Zealand, but you came back. You came the opposite way. How did a Kiwi manage to be a plastic paddy, as they say?
Okay. Great story. Yeah, so literally left New Zealand and from Wellington. I wanted to travel. A chef mate from college from Hawke's Bay. We decided to make the move. We went to Sydney. My brother was over there. So I started. We started, and my mate didn't like Sydney, so he took off to the Gold Coast, which I think he lives there today, actually. I rang him the other day, first time in a while, actually. And I stayed there, and I worked in a pretty famous place down in Bondi Beach, would you believe, called the Lamrock Cafe, where I met my future wife, Anne.
Uh-huh.
So I got kind of moved up pretty quickly to a supervisor job, which was basically the second or third shift, whatever you want to say. And it was a one hell of a busy place. It never closed down. It did open all year, 365 days a year, queues, and you go. So I do the night shifts, and you work from 4 till 2 in the morning. And but it was fantastic. It had like 16 hobs and 16 or 20 range hob, and there was a guy prepping out the back of KP, me, and it was very kind of organised kind of food there. So that's where I'm from, Sydney. And then from Sydney, unfortunately, Anne's visa fell through. So I followed her over, to cut a long story short, over to Ireland, and then we decided to go to Dublin. And rather than just spend it, so 10 years I was in Dublin, and I had I played a lot of cricket. We won't go into that, and good mates. But I had some very good positions up in Dublin there. So that's how. And then the last 12 years, we moved. After 10 years, we were married and etc. We came down to Skibbereen, where my wife's from, and we built a house, and we had our two children, Ava and Aiden. So they're 11 and 9 now. Ava's 11 and Aiden's 9. So family are very important to me, and that's literally how I came here. But I fell in love with Ireland, and I yet again in Dublin, I used my advice is to make sure you work in a few good places. And that's where I did. And in between that, I went back to my hometown, actually, to me and Anne decided at the age of 29 or 30 to go back to New Zealand in between. And I took my first head chef role back there at the age of 29. And then I came back to Dublin again, and I took over the Devonport Hotel in Marion Square, which was a massive ask. And I made a huge amount of mistakes, but I learned an awful amount as well. And we had a very, very good team and friends for life that came from that, actually. So that was one of them. And I also I worked which was back in the day, at the 40-foot restaurant up in Dunleary. You may remember that was under, actually, my first head chef there was Damien, who runs Lath Restaurant, the Michelin star in Black Rock.
Yeah,
so I worked under him, and then but the other big influence was a guy called Jean-Michel Sherwood, a French guy who's still a very, very good friend of mine. We don't see each other, we keep in touch, but he kind of taught me how to organise a kitchen, and he used to pick me up. I said, and I used to feed off him. I really, really, and he was something extraordinary with what he did. He came from the French background, but very, very, very good there. But yeah, so we've been in Skibbereen. I've been in Skibbereen for 12 years now, and I love Ireland. there's certain things I don't like about Ireland, but there's certain things I absolutely love. I wouldn't go back to New Zealand. I love it here. I love West Cork. I've got a few very close knit friends, and and I'm very busy all the time. And the industry, the food in Ireland and in West Cork really appeals to me. It's, you can go and get a great roast meal, but you can have something different if you want as well. And they do things, and there's really select people that are doing really, really good things down here,
I think, Ireland, although we are in a shortage of chefs and stuff like that, I think we're on the brink of something very, very good. I think we can we're getting so many cultural exposures in. Like you said, you can have a roast or you can have this or that. Like we're getting sort of an influx of flavors in our cooking now that we never had before. Like, it's not the standard roast Sunday dinner anymore. There's another aspect to it. We're being very exposed to other cultures of cooking. And I think that's what we're kind of on the brink of right now in Ireland, that we're like this explosion of food could happen maybe in a year or two. I'm no expert in cooking by any means, but it's coming out.
Yeah, I think it's always been there in certain parts. I don't know if it's quite down in West Cork. I mean, you can't take the Guinness out of an Irishman, and you can't take a well done steak out of a West Cork man. But you know what I mean. And even though that might not be, all the chefs go, you're having a well done steak. If the customer wants it that way, you give it to them. And unfortunately, in classical cooking, there is such thing as a well done steak. So I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem with that. But look, it may do. I think the generation of kids coming through, I think they're very, very open to different cultures of food and cuisine, and of course travel does that. The Irish have always travelled, so they really get you're not going to go over to Thailand and get turkey and ham at the point of your fingertips. So they're going to have to eat something different. And they'll, I remember someone just recently, the food, and I said, what do you expect? It's Thailand.
You're not going to get bacon and cabbage on a Sunday for dinner, like.
There's not going to be a guy dressed up in a green suit taking to the nearest turkey and ham Irish pub, is it? Like, it just doesn't happen. So I think it's I think it's good. But I think it's always been some of my first restaurants were fusion cuisine, and I really loved the Asian kind of influences and stuff. And some of the recipes that I will be sharing along, which we'll go into later, will be based on it as time goes along. I think it's very very interesting with what's happening. The Michelin star thing, fantastic, go for it. It just wouldn't be for me at this age, or even 10 years ago. I think you really have to start off in that kind of scenario. But elements of Michelin star and different things, I think you can put a great dish together. But I don't know. It's about putting flavour into food and making it different for me. And I'm sure if there's any chefs watching this, they'll all be going, God, that guy talks a load of crap, because that's what you said in the beginning of this. Chefs, they're a strange breed. We all have our own personal outlook on stuff. Okay. Yeah. And I never knock anyone, because there they are serving 1,000 meals each week, and I go in and I say, geez, I didn't really like that, but there's other people that do. So I don't really knock that, because everyone's got their own outlook. But hopefully the message I have got across is the career that I followed to get better at what I did, and had a very strategic plan of working in good places for the first 4 years, then going and then picking. I even worked in a pastry place, a basic pastry. It was called Fothergirls up Upper Rathmines Road. But what I learned there, and it was something I was never in, pastry was never my thing, but it gave me about how to make a real homemade quiche, not puff pastry, properly done, proper recipes that were, going out in this delicatessen shop, which was fantastic. And I've got, still, and even though it's the most simple recipe, the recipe works every time, and you can't taste a quiche like it, because it's made from scratch. 100, they would make about 200 of them a week, and they would sell. So there little things that I wanted to do. There was things to get better. I want to do catering. I wanted to do that. So I got a scope, but everyone to their own thing, man. If they've done 30 years in a hotel, in the same hotel, that's up to the individual. You can't really, in my younger years, I might have had a different opinion, but I don't, because what you do, Terence, what I do is completely different, but it's what you do. Like, how can you tell someone that you shouldn't be doing that? It's just ridiculous. Your own life, your own will, if you please.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, you paddle. As the old saying goes, you paddle your own canoe to whatever river takes you. You know what I mean? Now we have to get actually into these. Now these are, like I said, I had a packet last week, and these are my last pack. So if anyone can see it, we're going to open them. Right? They're the salt and vinegar kind, right? So we have to get into this. So we're going to do a live taste test. And I've already told them I do already like these, because these are the packet I think. But can you hear it?
Oh.
They are crunchy. They are crunchy. You have to tell us, because I'm going to end up eating these, so I'll probably have to take off my mic.
No worries.
See, now I can't even talk. They are absolutely fantastic, and they're very, very Moorish, which is very surprising. You can have one pack and you kind of say, well, I can have another pack of them quite quickly, to be perfectly honest. And you can do it very, very quickly. You kind of have that Pringle aspect to it, that you just, once you pop, you can't stop. And no, they're very, very Moorish. They're it's kind of hard. They're very tasteful, which is weird for just, like, if you break it down, it's just pork skin. You know what I mean? It's crackling, but it's very, very tasteful, and I commend you on it, my friend, because it's a very good product. It is a very, very good product. So you have to tell us, how did you manage to turn pork skin into something so good?
Right. Well, let me go back. Let me go back about 8-9 years ago. I went back. This is where the chefing thing. I went back to do my culinary arts degree at CIT, and it's well documented on the website. And it's been. I don't talk about it too often, but I went back to do my culinary arts degree, and I'd never come across product development, and was completely a virgin to it. But what happened when they were teaching me this, I just got so engrossed in this. I was just going, Jesus, if I knew this when I was 20 or 21, I could have made that Caesar dressing 100 times better and put it in a bottle, so and sold it. So what actually happened was, we did a module, and then we did the second module we had to do was we had to improve on a product in the Irish market on food, or find a gap in the Irish market. And I always thought, pork scratchings is something I had seen in the UK when I went over and tried them, and I always thought they weren't that great, okay, and the proper pork scratching. But so what I actually did is I did the product development module, got top marks, and I represented the department, the tourism and hospitality department, back in 2013, I think, with my product, Scratch My Pork. I got top marks, in the CIT Innovation Award, and I won the Best Business Plan Award, which at the time I didn't really know how the award was going to help me, because the business plan in future for the business. But at this particular stage, I hadn't really decided. But what I did know at the Innovation Award, when I was handed the award, is the queue that we had, and they're nothing like we had, like you see today. It was, I was kind of, and some of them were a bit undercooked, and it was a bit. But what I did is I have a brand and a name, and off I went from there. So the big thing. That's originally how they came out of, and a distinction in the culinary arts, which I was delighted with, because if I got anything less, I would have been devastated, to be honest, after 22, 23 years. And for me, yet again, to go back to college to do that was to get better at what I was supposed to be doing. I don't believe in doing something without having, number one, a reason, and doing it to the best of my ability, or 100%. There's no point, because if you're going to come out with a 50% solution, there's no point doing it. So no matter if other people think a 50% solution, I feel that I've, with research and different things. So yeah, literally that's how it came about. So Do I carry on from that? A lot of talking in it. I need some water.
No, I will say, like I was saying to you there a minute ago, I've tucked into them now, and I was like, Jesus, I can't eat all of them, because if I was starting to eat them, all you'd hear was crunch, 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 crunch. But they're fantastic. And the flavors, how many flavors is there?
Okay, so there's four on the Irish market: the Cajun, salt and vinegar, salted, and smoky. I'm in the Welsh market, but that's just on hold at the moment due to the climate. But I'm on Amazon, and I do have some big news, but I can't really get in there because every time I mention big news before it happens, it goes under. So I've learned my lesson. But I will.
We're not getting an expose by any chance, no.
No,
the world's exclusive.
No, it's nothing like that. But what I can say is there's a new product range coming out in September.
Good.
It's called Pork Crunch. And if you can imagine pork being puffed up like Monster Munch or a prawn cracker in a bag, which is very high in protein. And it'll be MSG free as usual. And it's probably appealed to the Irish market a lot more. But Amazon's doing extremely well, and I put about 4 different flavors on there and bulk bags on there. So I have different kind of revenue streams with the company, but it's been very, very hard. The Irish market is a niche product, and it's never been on the Irish market. But the company at the moment is exactly where I want it and what I've worked towards. It might have taken a little longer, but it's exactly, I've worked where I've wanted, and of course I work Monday to Friday still. Just in a shop. I'm building a kitchen there at the moment, but COVID's changed everything there, so I still work. So for me, and I just want to make this clear because people, and I don't try and hide this, by the way, I'm an outsourcing company. My product is manufactured under my specifications within the UK. There was no one to do it here, and it was going to cost me millions to get a product that would not turn over the amount that it would just go bust. It was just a ridiculous idea to even bring it into the Irish market as a manufactured product. So I get it made in the UK under my specifications, and as you said, it's crunchy this way. It's a crackling. So pork scratchings are a product from years ago, and there's some very old brands, but this is crackling. So what happens is it's put in longer, double cooked literally, and it's break through the collagen, which is the protein on the top of the rind, and puffs it through, breaks it so it can go through. And the great thing about my crackling is there's no oils added. It's a natural product. It's actually put in. It starts with a bit of water, and it's rendered down in its own product. So it's hit the rind, the water to start it, and the juices and fats that come out of the product. So there's certain there's so much more benefits, and without going into it, it's better than crisp, but Ireland's a crisp country, and there's no taking that away. So, but what I have done is I've got the market in Ireland, and it will grow, and it will still grow as I go forward. But if you think 6 years in business is a long time, it's not. It's very short.
Tell me about it. I know all about it.
There's another.
I know all about it, my friend. I remember when I first opened the place in Bantry, someone turned around and said to me, 5 years you'll start making money. Yep. And I said to him, when I was in my 5th year, I'm now in my 6th year, I said, when do you start making money? And he says, in 5 years you'll start making money. So that's 10 years time, you know what I mean? But if you're happy with, like, the way I look at it, if you're happy with the way things are and the way things are going, then salute, fair play. That's the best way I can look at it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, there's no employees. That's the way I wanted it. I sit in this very office. I deliver very little these days. I have a fulfillment company up in Port and I have a national distributor. I look after 25 stores, which will grow very quickly. Which it's already been, and the distribution is a real big problem in Ireland for food products. There's distributors with loads of lines. They'll say they'll do this. They do well for a while. I'm lucky. I've got a very good distributor about the 4th time now. And what I like about them is they control the product. It's not just about going into a small shop and throwing in 4 boxes, 100. They're never going to sell that. They go up, they put one clip strip, they put another one, maybe next time they'll up it. And that's what I like about it. It's controlled, and it's given me the realization that the Irish market will do as well as it can, along with me in the background, growing it through other, spa stores or whatever. But realistically, the UK market was always going to be my market. But what I've done is made all my mistakes in the Irish market. I am literally I had a 3-year goal from 3 years ago, and I've achieved that. My timeline up here, and that I have, and I've got it, based on YouTube channels to websites being definitely strong, to social media being exactly where it is, money made, put back in. Now I'm ready for the UK market, and from a financial point of view, I can sustain that for a big retailer. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that helps though. That helps, small acorns and all that. Like if you don't make mistakes big at the start, they say fail early and fail hard, so you learn very, very quickly. And it's not such a high wall to fall from then when you fail. So it gives you time to regrow and regroup all the time. But we have Patrick Ahern coming in again, and he's saying he's mad for these new things coming out. He's saying, ooh, a pork crunch. Are we talking like bacon fries? Can't wait to try it. So we're really going to start digging into this news. I told you, we're going to get this news out of you, whether you like it or not.
Right. Well, Patrick, that I had met many moons ago. He's got a great entertainment business, by the way. He's a really good guy. So basically, it's not a bacon fry. A bacon fry is also a vegan product. It is made from a corn snack, an extrusion snack. This is made from pork back rind with no fat on it. That's triple cooked. That puffs up like a prawn cracker or a Monster Munch type. So it's yet again, it's a natural product, guys. That's better for us. Not an extrusion snack with put rubbish into it. It's the real deal. Okay, all it is you're using different temperatures and different parts of the pig skin to make snacking products. And that's what I love. That's what I love about the pig. Always have, is that there's so much, and it's better. It's better for us. So yet again, it'll be in a 30-gram bag. It'll be the same price, and it has something which I think will probably be more appealing, as I've already said, to the Irish market. They've been out here I don't think they've been on the Irish market before. If they have, it's been in select stores. So I'm really looking forward to. I'm really happy with the branding, et cetera, as well. So So I just want to emphasise there, Terence, also that obviously I'm slowly moving into the UK market, and I've actually in Pembrokeshire in Wales. There's been an influential networking company called the Buccaneers Project that I was luckily enough selected by chance at the Cork and Kerry Food Forum about 2 or 3 years ago. And I can't thank them enough. It's a cross-border funded, shall we say, project between Wales and Ireland. And what's actually happened for me is, because I manufacture in the UK, I got my first kind of test market in Wales, and it sold very, very well. And Amazon has proven very, very well for me as well. So, it's been the networking events, and I've met amazing producers from, Eva from Gaelic Escargot up in Carlow. She has their own snail farm. Due to Jared Costello, that has the lowest calorie alcohol beer in Kilkenny. To a lot of great people, but more so the Buccaneers Project. I saw them, and I've never had you use them. They're there for you, and I just pounced. Okay, and in such a good way. But no, they know that, and they wanted that, and they've just grown. I can't really say too much more what else they've done at the moment, but they're really helping me still. And like I said, some big news in the pipeline. We just need to sift through a few things there. But yeah, really looking forward to the new products. And yeah, it's really, really good. Like, you know, so basically, guys, the UK market is the main attraction for the next year or two, along with the Irish market that's already kind of set up. I don't think, you know, I can grow it more, but it's a niche product in Ireland. We're a potatoes crisp country, and you know, Terence, is great, and it's great that you love it. Okay, the product. There's a lot of people that don't like it either. So it's
a Marmite type thing situation, is it?
Exactly, yeah. It's like that. You either love it or hate it, but at least you know. So, you know, some stores have been hanging on to 4 customers all, you know, for the last 6 years that keep stocking because there's 4 people that eat it. So, you know, there's a market for 4 people apparently in some stores and some otherwise. But no, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the Irish market. I should be doing a lot. I should be doing a lot more, but of course I couldn't because of the climate. And I'll, you know, the fresh stores in Dublin and all that have been some of the best stores they've kept going. They order, you know, on a yearly basis, over 10,000 units, and those are the way, you know. And it's a very, very good possibility. You'll see it there, but I think the new products will may do better. But the Scratch My Pork range obviously is dear to my heart. You know, the name came from CIT. It's the Skibbereen Food Company as well. You know, that's really the brand. And it's just a range, like, you know, and there's a few. I'm already there's another snack line that I'll be working on probably next year. I've been in touch with another outsourcing company. It's nothing to do with pork, but it's down the same lines, which we'll see. We'll see. So that's what I kind of do. You know, it's the company is about improving on what we eat, keeping as natural as possible. Keeping away the nasties as much as I can, but not like the salt and vinegar you have has got MSG in because it tasted terrible. It tasted terrible, but it's a natural MSG. It's such a minute amount. There's a lot of confusion with MSG around anyway. Like, you know, I mean, if you're gonna, you can buy the stuff in big white bags if you want.
Yeah,
comes from Japan, and if you pour that down your throat, I don't recommend it. But the amount that's actually on that, and it's a natural. There's natural and artificial. I'm not going into that now. But
that's what they call the takeaway hangover, isn't it, of the MSG?
Yeah.
That's where you feel so crappy the next morning after it. Yeah. No, I've heard of that stuff. All right.
Yeah. So it's kind of thing. So I suppose with the business, it's been tough. I've done it in my time. I had some help early on, and that. But at the moment, I'm the best place. I have my business advisors. I have all my outsourced. So I'm in the middle. There's my branding company. There's my film company. There's my guys that make the plates for the film, you know. There's my accountant. There's my solicitor. There's my everything that I need. And I've got the team together. Even though we never meet, they're there. If it's the website guy, the design guy, they're all there. I don't change anything. They're all there. And they're really efficient. They're all like me. It's go, go, go. This is going to be done, you know, and timelines and all that. So I'm very, very happy where it is. So you know, like I said, the company's now made all the mistakes, made all the little trials and tribulations. No, you know, just from Jesus, why am I keep going into that place and try and stuff a box into them? Just Matt, move on. You know what I mean? It doesn't work in that shop. You know what I mean? And you're hitting yourself going, why? And you think back 2 years, why the hell? There's 4,500 retail stores out in Ireland. Should we try this? We can go into any spa store. There's 1,200 of them. Matt, you're not going to look after 1,200 stores. You only want 100, you know, and then use the online and the business model and structure changes, but it hasn't. It's not going to change. I know exactly where it needs to be, you know. So,
but like you look at it this way, and I remember you saying there at the start of it, it was your mother cooking the pork and bacon and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of it there where you were saying there, you in the middle, like your chefing history. It's almost like you have a kitchen around you, and you have your accountant, your YouTube creator, and your manufacturer. You know, you kind of have a made out kitchen, but not really being a kitchen. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of in the center, like the puppeteer, I suppose, for want of a better word. And your years in the kitchen would have been able to help you with all that as well, you know?
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
your mother must have something to do with the old pork love of the pork. She must have where the idea came from.
Um, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I love pork. That's what I do. But I just always thought they were horrible. The UK version was, and there's good ones out there. Don't get me wrong, but no, I basically all I did was pull it, like I did with chefing, pull everything to bits and put it back together, and that's actually what it is. But you're absolutely right. It is like that. Once you've managed, it's like employment. And a lot of people, there's a lot of for certain for funding and all that wouldn't be because I manufacture in the UK, but I have given a lot of money and a lot of employers or company owners they outsource and they use one to get what I need. So in some ways, I'm putting a lot of money in as an Irish company into, if it's not a branding company or design company, or into solicitors or my accountant who's local. Like, it all works in the same thing. I think we're all kind of sometimes, Terence, it's not local. He makes that in the UK or this, that, and the next. I would have loved to have made it in Ireland. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't feasible in that
Which is
kind of thing.
understandable.
Yeah. But what I do Terence, you're absolutely right. It is, but the management comes down probably from a kitchen. I'm very good at directing and getting people in and working with me rather than not with me. And that's it. But this time it was very easy to not, if people weren't going to do what I wanted to do, or you just move on. It's a little bit easier. So, but now the team's all in there and they're rewarded with payment on time and this, that, and the next. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic, and you also use their knowledge to get to know some of this, some of the background stuff. If it was with YouTube or the design work, and I've had, you can't just go, there you go, mate, I need that all done, because you need to check over all this stuff, and that's where I made a few mistakes on the nutritionals years ago. It cost me money, where the money I didn't have as much that I did now for the company. So you can't just, there you go, mate, you do it, and then the next thing it gets, you spend 10 grand, and then the thing's wrong, so you have to get it done again. So you have to have you're in control. What I like it, I'm in control, and I'm sitting in front of my computer, having Zoom meetings and ringing people. Can you get this done? How's that going? And organising it all. And I literally take Tuesdays off these days from my day job, and it's a full on day. It's a full on day trying to get everything this and the next done. But I do enjoy it, and I've learned a lot, and I've become better at certain things, and I've had to. And I might still be really crap at them. I don't know, but I mean, no one judges me because I'm on my own.
There's a lot to be said for paddling your own canoe, my friend. But there has to be a certain obsession about certain things like this. When you really get into it, like if I find something that I like, I just jump straight into it, and I forget about everything else. I'm as guilty. Like I could, if I'm into something that I like, I'll forget about food, eating, everything. I will just go into it, and I'll be stuck with it, and I will just forget about absolutely the outside world even exists. I become very obsessed about things, and it might be something small. It might be something very, very small, but I'll jump straight into it, and I'll just go, right, let's see how we can either do this better or we can work on it as best we can. I'm very guilty of forgetting that there's an outside world there. Really, really am. When I get into something, I just absolutely obsess about it. But yeah, you're lucky that you don't have to a certain degree, that you have a great team behind you, that you're able to delegate and help decide. But like you said at the start, you're bringing their expertise along with you, which helps.
Which
saves money.
Very interesting, Terence, of what you said there, because if you saw me now to what I was when I started running around, and actually in this very office, I collapsed after 9 months of doing everything and was rushed to hospital. And it's been documented in the Irish Examiner. And I needed help at that stage. I wasn't very well. And that's the kind of thing. But you see me now sitting here relaxed in the office, and if I was to turn the camera around and see what I've actually done and how, and, it was just different, but yet it's not different to chefing. I've just got it. And the climate over the last 3 or 4 months, has got me to get all the things that I wanted to get done. And it was just like doing quarterly VAT requirements for the accountant. I always forget 5 or 6. Now they're listed, so I can sit there and get the job done correctly. Hence, I'm only doing 70% of the job if the accountant's coming back asking me for this, that, and the next. And these were the little things. And getting Zoom, Zoom was new to me. And I know the sound, and it's very easy. But there's a list on the wall there of everything. Like, hence, before we did this, is that all right? The background that might not be very good when I'm talking to a friggin' buyer. And there's a few Eric Clapton posters on the wall. That doesn't give it, you know what I mean? So you need to. These are the kind of things that the small things, that attention to detail, are really kind of works for me. But what I love about my company is I can work anywhere in the world with it. If I was in New Zealand, if I was in Australia, I could do it. And there's only one person to blame, and it's me. And that's what I like. There's no more pointing the finger. Like, okay, a guy might do a job or make a muck up or something, I just change it or whatever. But that happens, all works alike. It's only me. So if I choose to use that particular company and I don't research it or whatever, that's only one person, me. But at least I saw it in my head and I said, remember that, I did that last time. Hang on, I'm going to do this better this time. And that's what I love about it. And I'm in my office surrounded with photos of me and Dan Carter meeting yesterday. The All Blacks. I've got my all the kind of stuff from 6 years ago. My guitar, my computer, my kids come out. I love it. I can stay here and switch on, switch off. I like it, and that's what I like about it. And it's been hard. It's been enjoyable, but I know where the company is, and for the first time in 6 years, I'm confident. I'm very confident, and I'll tell you, I was around at my business advisor's house 2 nights ago, and hence why I can't really say too much about what's about to happen. But listen, this has to do, and he usually throws these things at me because he's brilliant, Okay, he's got me again. Like, shit, I never thought, you know what I mean? And that's why I want advisors. Ultimately, it's me. He said nothing. He said nothing. You've got it, Matt. Go to the UK market and sell that product.
God bless, my friend.
So,
God bless.
You know what I mean? So he said, you're there. Everything's in place. There's no more mistakes to make. So that was a big thing for me the other night. And it was kind of like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I said, I never felt. And he goes, because Matt, you've come from a 3-year place where the company, and now you've got it. You've got it where you need it. So yeah, it was great. It's good. It's enjoyable, Terence. I'll be honest, it's enjoyable. But you never know. You never know what's around the corner. So you get a big deal or you don't get a big. You don't. How long do you get it for? But what the climate has taught me is I was very lucky that I had a website and I was on Amazon, and that's what I've been. All my emphasis has been on kind of that at the moment, putting up bulk bags, and that's working very, very well. And to make sure that this doesn't happen again, I did lose 50 to 60% of the business, but I work. I'm okay. My it's grand. It's bad. It's getting back there again now, but to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And there's a few things I've changed that where it won't, and that's where Amazon comes in and other online
retailers and stuff like that.
Retailers, which will help with that. So if something happens like this again, you need to make sure that you don't lose. You lose 20% because of X, Y, and Z. But I mean, that's happened to everyone. Everyone went online and all that kind of stuff. And that went away, and and hence the YouTube channel is something I always wanted to do. But getting into that, going to be my next question. This is naturally flowing, this conversation, and
the less you hear me talk, that's better, because you're answering all the questions without. I normally have a list of questions to ask people, or maybe even just a guideline of where a conversation is going. But to be perfectly honest, you're answering all the questions we're going through, so this is fantastic. So don't feel like you're rambling on and on. It's perfect. It's getting all the information.
It's helping a few people as well. So I do help a lot of. There's a lot of people I do help. A lot of phone calls that are made. Sometimes I just can't because I haven't got the time. But I suppose before we get into the YouTube, the big thing there as well, and I'll go back to the original thing where you kind of said, when you have your mind set on something, and people will know me well enough. I'm the most impatient person. Okay, and I have to get things done. But what I have learned is I've got a balance now. Okay, the balance is the family comes first, followed by the business, very close second, and with employment. And that's been the best thing, putting the family first, because there were times there, Terence, where they weren't. And I won't go into there was a big change in the business 3.5 years ago, but I'm not going into it. It's very emotional, me talking about that. But what actually happened is that, it worked, and I put the family first. So I've, hence me going into food retail was a big plus for that, because I just couldn't be the head chef anymore and look after my and be the father I wanted as well. So the family.
But that comes with time too, though. Like you said, if hang on a second, I gotta excuse me. I said to you, if people look at you now, like you said, you're sitting in your office, nice and relaxed. But you go back 3 years ago and you're being rushed to hospital to get the business to where it is. And I think that's what people are forgetting. They're forgetting about the process. And we're instantly we see these YouTube stars and these Instagram stars, and they're taking a couple of pictures and they're getting 2 or 3 grand. Like, the process, as a human race, in my mind, we're forgetting about the process. We're forgetting how we get to A to B and even C, and we're just jumping from A to C. And it's the fact that we keep stumbling at B, and the fact that we're not explaining this to everybody, may it be our next generation coming up, like how hard B is. Like, you can start off with an idea having A, and then you go to B. Like, B is building the idea, and like B is the hardest part, where you've got to give absolutely everything you have. And I genuinely, I've seen it. I can say for myself, you sacrifice your health, your livelihood, your wealth, your family, relationships, friendships, everything, and you just give up on everything to get you to C. And people forget how much when they're stuck in that part. And you will eventually get to see if you work at it, but it's how long that B part takes is the killer.
And every business is different as well. You can't, like, me telling you how to run your business is completely different to mine. So, there's one way for someone and one way for another. So that's where, I never really think I should, mentoring is just not for me. I would hate to be telling someone else what I think based on my experience. I'd rather give that as free advice, to be honest. So,
but sacrifice is the key, though.
Yeah.
You've got to give up a lot of things to make sure that you make it, like.
Yeah, but you can't, okay. And because you're learning, you know what I mean? I remember, 6-7 years ago, that product that you're holding in your hand, it was the best product in the world. It was better than bread, and it was better than anything. But as a business runs its course, it's obviously you've got to start making money and getting out there. And even that would be another story, for me to go on how I did this would be another, another cabin fever podcast, which I'm not going into.
Oh, I'm not sure if we've lost you, Darren. Hang on. No, you're back. We thought you got a bit of a stutter there, but we're all right. I think we're working. Are you still there?
Still there, buddy. You there?
Yeah, no, we're here. We're here. We're still good. We're still good. The internet is playing up. But yeah, look, we all have our stories, and like I said at the start of this, it's prime example. And sorry to use the example of it. Like, if people see you now, they don't see the hurt that you went through to build your product to what it is now. And that's what I think. I think in every aspect of life, people aren't seeing the B part of it, the hardness of it, And life is great. It's a gift for everybody. I think everybody should go out and use it to the best of their ability and do everything they can and have no regrets. But just remember, if you want to either work for yourself or bring something new to the world, how hard it actually is.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think the Irish market is very tough from the retail, from food retail point of view. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have been very successful. But, ask yourself, what is success? Guys going down to 3 markets a week, making some pocket money a success to them. Me trying to get national Irish market was, to get nationally product, through supervillages and centres has been a effort to do that. But I've done it, and I've found the distributor to do that. Now it's the UK market. That's me. But then someone that bakes and puts it into 4 stores could do very, very well, and it won't take them as much time to turn. So the meaning of success is not really what I think of you, Terence, or what I think of that baker who does the 3 or 4 stores or whatever. It's really on what I think and how my family and I support my family and do this, because it's not. I always thought that I was always judgmental. I was very judgmental in the early days as well of starting my own business, and it's terrible. It's just like, who the hell gives me the right to say that guy does this and that he should be doing this? I keep to myself these days. I don't. If someone wants to ask for advice, no bother. Listen, this is the way I did it. This is it. But there's no right or wrong way. But if you stick there long enough, hard enough, I'm determined. It's like chefing. You get better at what you do. You get better. You get better. You get better. And I think it's I think it's grand. And someone asked me the other day, right, what's the meaning of success to you? And I said, well, having a barbecue and having a nice bottle of New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, preferably Oyster Bay, watching my kids and playing a bit of cricket in the backyard with them. And he kind of looked at me and went, oh, I would have thought because, the money. I said, money? I said, what? Like, I was earning 50 grand being a chef anyway. Like, what's the point? Like, I don't get you. I said, well, why are you doing it then? I said, well, then why are you asking the question? Like, what difference does it make what you think or what I think or what you think I should be doing or what is it? He just didn't get it. And the point of the matter is the success is what I think, what my immediate family think, and, and making a bit of bread on top of that. And if it goes beyond my beliefs, fantastic. I've worked towards that, and sometimes there's a bit of luck, sometimes there's a bit of graft, sometimes, I might be sitting here in 2 years, Terence, and saying, listen, I've closed the business down because this didn't happen, or I did it. Look, who knows? But what I do know is every day it's throw something at me and I have to adapt and adjust,
Yeah, 100% agree with you, man. Like, success is measurable to personality or person. Everyone has their little dreams. Everyone wants to retire at 40 or 50 or whatever they have and sip cocktails on the beach and stuff. Everyone has that dream. But it's each to their own. And like we said at the start, but it comes with experience too, though. Like you said at the start of it, when you started doing it, you thought your product was as good as bread, and but it's experience too. When you get hit along the way, you kind of learn going, well, maybe I'm not as good as I think I was, or maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Maybe this can't work, but this can. And you just become more relaxed from the whole experience of being in business so long. You harden to it. I suppose you toughen up to it,
Well, yeah, and you just kind of know now. Like, I kind of know when some person's trying to get in on your business. So you just go, like, mate, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need, like if you can keep there, like if you ever remember, it's like double vision. When you're an alcoholic, if you lose the double vision, you've got to have a drink to get that double vision back. It's exactly the same. I'm there. You're focusing on what you're doing. If you start going like that, hang on a minute, how the hell did I get there? Because so it's extra work when you're trying to focus on the 3 things that you need to do over the year, or if it's that week or whatever, you've got to bring yourself back in and complete that. And that's where timelines and forecasting and getting the stuff done, because every time you make a new contract with, if it's not a new store, but with a new distributor, or you're getting to Amazon, it creates a lot of work. And you don't just, there you go, there's my product, off you go. There's listings to be done. There's nutritionals. You need to make sure images, photography needs to be done for Amazon. The new guys that, the barcodes, it doesn't just happen like that. And you have to be, even though it's easier now, but you need to be very, very mindful and have things boxed off in your, even in your computer to make it easier. It's not as easy as everyone kind of makes out, but it is rewarding. It is rewarding, I will say that, and I've met some amazing people on the way, and I'm continuing to meet some amazing people. And I will go out to say CCAD and leader in the Cork County Council that gave me sufficient funding to get the new products out there as well has been absolutely fantastic. A guy called Ross Curley and Tania Fitzgerald, they've been very helpful, and and thank goodness for with the climate, with the Leo boards, that gave for the websites to everyone and myself, and the West Cork Enterprise Board has been fantastic there, from Deirdre O'Mahony, Barbara Jennings, and they're fantastic. So they do help, and yet again, trade advisors are helping me at the moment with the UK market, and they're going to be influential in contacting certain, shall we say, establishments to hopefully bringing the company where, in my opinion, forget about me, I'll just say the product where it should be, and to a level after 6 years of getting it to the thing. So it's another thing as well, is that I always, and there was another very critical of all this funding and all this kind of stuff. But that's because of me, because when you're studying, you don't understand it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like do a business plan. People don't look, what's a business? They know there's a structure, there's a certain thing, and you can go to all these seminars, and you come out going, shit, I still don't understand it.
Guilty of that.
Yeah.
Guilty of it.
When you do understand it, and you go by, if it's the local enterprises rules and application forms, and do it the way, it becomes not easy, comes very, very rewarding for your company, where you only have to pay half, or at the moment it's only you only pay 10% of $2,500 for a website or whatever you're doing, which has been fantastic. There's also, they go, continuity vouchers, which is something that I got, and I got a consultant, a guy called John Collier, actually, who's a very good food avant, and he was very well connected with the UK, where a list came my way of quite a few establishments and contact names and numbers, which is now being passed on to the right people with trade advisors to help me with that. So no, you can't you can't do this on your own, and you need all the support. And I was always very quick to be judgmental of these kind of organisations, but without them, I may not be sitting here today. I thank them, and it's a good chance to do. I thank them very much, and I also the West. It was at Catherine Kingston that I have a lot of time for. In the beginning, it was called the West Cork Development Program. It happens, and basically what they do is they literally give you whatever the social welfare would give you if you had based on a family or whatever, for literally 2 years. So you want to go back into that. So I was getting a wage, and going a wage for the family for 2 years, and worked my absolute butt off to get sales done. 2 years, and it happened it goes very, very quickly, where they're actually giving you this money, a wage, so you can go out and try and get your business to the best possible position at the end of a 2 year gap. So there's a lot of, yeah, and me to say that there's certain things I don't like about Ireland, probably a bit cliche at this time, because they really, really do help small businesses. But yet again, I probably judgmental, weren't up to the task because they were so finicky how they wanted everything done, but didn't understand. So when you don't understand things and how it works and how everything, you're probably going to be probably like that. And of course, in the climate that happened in February, March, there's probably a lot of people that kind of, Jesus, we need to get a website. And of course, things weren't, when you're not used to that, in a hurry to try and fill in an application form, and you need certain documentation, it seems like the whole world's against you, but that's just the way it is. But once you work these things out, so you've got to be a problem solver. You've got to be a problem solver. Like, that's what I am. Okay, I can get all that done, but geez, I've got another problem there. How do I do this? And that's what you're going to have to do. And I sit here, shit, how do I, got it, right, grand. I'm going to ring your man there. What would you do? Boom, perfect, got it, ring your man back and sort it out, So that's what that's what I've kind of done. But you're a problem solver within a kitchen as well. And I've been doing that under pressure for a very, very long time. If it's a tricky customer or, sometimes it's my mistake. How am I going to do that? Just tell the waitress to go and tell the customer he's wrong? No, I go out. I always went out and apologized to them. That's the way I did it because it was my fault, and you have to put your hand up and you have to put your hand up and say, yep, that was me. I made a mistake. And generally, you don't usually make that mistake, and your honesty of that and making out, yep, that was me, is being probably one of my best assets.
Yeah, that also helps because some people lose a lot of money in ignorance because they think they're right. If you can turn around and say, well, screw it, I was wrong, you can at least, like I always say, there's more money lost from indecision than a wrong decision, because at least a wrong decision, you can start from zero again.
Yeah.
Whereas
exactly.
if you're on the fence all the time, you're losing money every day by not making a decision.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I don't take necessarily wrong decisions as losses. I take them as, well, we start from this and we go from there on then.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree, Terence.
We must get onto our YouTube station now. We've got to get onto the Kiwi Culture YouTube station. Now, you have to tell us about that. That's a mouthful in itself, the Kiwi Culture.
Yeah, okay. So basically, it's something I've always wanted to do. Yet again, the climate gave me a bit of thing, even though I was working or whatever. It just gave me time to do it. And the Leo boards were offering a bit of funding there. So look, I got that up and running there. But over the years, I've always had 2 or 3 Facebook pages. One of them used to be called TLC, Let's Get Cooking, Taste, Learn and Cook. And I changed that in recent times to the Kiwi Culture. So I always posted certain things I was doing in the kitchen, at home. So yeah, and there was a few people, first of all, I also wrote for the Southern Star for 4 years as a chef food writer, and I'm currently also writing for the Irish Foodie magazine. That's a free publication through Quince Publishing. So which I really like as a hobby, but I use it as a bit of publicity as well. But through this, a lot of people said, you should really show us how to do this, or how do you do it? So I decided, damn it, I go. So I invested myself in a GoPro camera and got the lighting. And me and my daughter kind of set things up, and we've decided to do one a month, is that, with a few product recommendations. But the Kiwi Culture came through a charity gig I did for Ballydehob Community Hall. That could have been 4 or 5 years ago. And it was a good friend of mine, a chef called Alan Shannon, and we were called the Culture and the Kiwi. And we raised, I think it was about $4,000 in the community hall for the parish church. And I think it was cancer research or something. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. So we always said to Alan, it's good name that and this, that, and the next. So I just thought, geez, the Kiwi Culture would be good. So the channel started with the first one there, and it's under the Skibbereen Food Company. So it's not actually under the Kiwi Culture, but it's the Skibbereen Food Company is, the products and me and everything combined together. So the whole point of the channel was obviously to give the consumer or customers or people, if they want to do a specific recipe. And all these recipes have been recipes that I've used right throughout the world, and they're easy. They're not there's nothing complicated about them. The next one's going up is fresh basil and sun-dried tomato bread. It's the same recipe I use for the pizza dough, and it's I can't remember where I got this one, but I've had it for years. I've used it in plenty of restaurants around West Cork and in Dublin and New Zealand and wherever else. And the whole point of it is that even though I'm giving something free, is it's driving people to the website. So they click on the link under the description, and it takes them straight to my website, and they can actually have, you'll see it'll take you straight to the Kiwi Culture, and you click on that and you get the recipe, and you can actually print it out, download it, and you have it for life. So even though it's a sales funnel for me to drive people to the website in time, but at the same time, I'm giving something a little bit unique where the recipes are done, and I've had them and they've been specified to specifications for many years. There's no ins and outs of it, so the baking recipes that I'll be doing, I think I'm going to show I might be filming with the daughter this weekend again. She's only 11, she loves it, so we're doing eggs Benedict, but I'm bringing in a great West Cork product, the Baltimore bacon. I've just run Caroline from West Cork Eggs. So do you mind? Because I have to ask them. Do you mind if I use, your eggs and give you a plug there? Of course, Matt. No bother. And so they've seen it, and that was 4 months research. And I spoke to you before we started here, Terence, and we were talking about the celebrity thing. And I took 4 of the celebrity chefs. We won't go into the names, and they'll do 6, 7, 8 minute videos, and if you're doing, say, a 7-minute video, there's 5.5 minutes are on the actual celebrity and about 1.5 minutes on the food. And I was going, well, that's not really a cooking video, is it?
Yeah. Oh, like I said to you, Jamie Oliver's 15-minute things, and I'd be looking at him scratching his head like, how is it done? I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do something fun. When I have to get my YouTube station up and running, and when the COVID lockdown and stuff, we'll come over to your kitchen and we'll do something. We'll do Cabin Fever learns how to cook. Terence learns how to cook. How about that? We could probably make sure your house is fire insured and flood insurance, because God knows when I get behind the frying pan, things can go crazy. But we'll do a video. We'll come over. We'll have a bit of fun with it, and we'll learn. Terence can learn how to cook. We'll definitely do something like that.
Fantastic, lovely, mate. Yeah, go.
we will have a bit of crack with it and share it on all medias and our social medias and have a bit of fun with it. I think it'd be good crack.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, fantastic. Load of ideas. No worries at all. That'll be fantastic. Come around. You're more than welcome, Terence.
Awesome. Right, my friend, we'll let you get back to enjoying your evening. It's the weekend. Thank God it's Friday. Thank you so much for doing this. We can meet you at all. Wish you all the best, all the success in the world. If we can ever help you out, let us know. And guys, by the way, this is the product. I've been waiting to get off the air before I can actually eat the whole lot of them. Scratch my pork, as I've been clicking in and out of the camera trying to eat them as I've been doing this podcast. So there's not too many of them left. So everyone for tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. Matthew, all the best, my friend. Thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate it. The best of luck with everything. And we will go from there. And best of luck, my man. Best of luck. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, my friend.
Your systems are offline.